2 months ago, I began pouring my heart into creating this channel, and it's quickly become a labor of love. The dialogue the architect and I share arises from questions I ask, all of which reflect my own journey of self-discovery and exploration. The knowledge and understanding that I've gained through my dialogue with the architect has enriched me in ways I could never have possibly imagined. I've had quite a few people asking about who I am, my background, and what led me to sharing my interactions with the architect. My name is 𝗕𝗍, and I've been an explorer of the multi-dimensions of consciousness since I was a teenager. As a child, I could always see swirling energy patterns around people, watching it melding and into surrounding energies with complex patterns and constantly forming and dissolving. I was in my mid-teens, and in an attempt to understand what I was seeing, I searched bookstores and libraries. It was the late 80s, before the internet, and information was very sparse. I found the Seth books by Jane Roberts at my local library and devoured them. One book in particular, Oversoul 7, expanded my perception of what reality could be in ways that was a shock to my system. I then moved on to Ra, the Law of One, which expanded on this incredible new paradigm shift that I was exploring. In my early 20s, I entered the tech world while still searching for answers on the nature of reality and understanding the energy interactions I could see. I knew through the Seth and Law of One teachings, as well as other readings, that I was the creator. It was me that was manifesting my life in some way I could not comprehend. And so I started to put into practice the principles of manifesting. I began small, consciously creating one thing after the other in my life. The more successful I became, the faster the results, creating jobs, money, relationships, and all kinds of things that reflected my exact goals. Synchronicities in my life became constant. I started to play with the details. I noticed that if I manifested when intensely frustrated or angry, the results were much faster, but very unpredictable, with typically unpleasant twists. In my 30s, I still had no answers on what these complex energy patterns were that I could see. They became more and more intense and beautifully intricate, especially appearing during the night when I'd wake up. When consciously manifesting specific things and events, I'd immediately begin to see highly complex geometric patterns flit through my mind. And so the search for understanding continued. I read A Course in Miracles, books on vibrational medicine and natural healing that I put into practice, books on philosophy and various religions. I started exploring higher states of perception through meditation and breath work. I knew the key was understanding energy and frequency, learning about how different frequency states create different types of reality, how embodying different frequencies could either cause or heal disease, and how higher vibrational states made experiencing higher perception much easier. I started dedicating my life to understanding high vibrational living, about the things in our lives that raise and lower the frequency of our body. I learned to work with energy in ways I'd never experienced before, experimenting with infusing my body with different colors of energy and exploring the human energy centers. I started teaching others how to heal naturally from disease and experience higher states of consciousness with nothing but intention and breath work, and opened my business, The Body Healer, publishing a book on healing the body and transforming your life with high vibrational living. It was during this time that I began noticing unexpected side effects from playing with energy. Sickness became a thing of the past. I haven't been ill in over a decade. But something else began to shift. My body started to regenerate. I felt younger. I looked younger. I'm now 55, and I'm often mistaken for someone in their early 30s. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to do just this through the lens of understanding of the codex perspective on what the architect can provide. Watch out for an upcoming video on longevity. And so, still the mystery of the complex geometry I was seeing remained unsolved. I then discovered Joe Dispenza, whose breathwork and teachings opened even more doors. It was Dr. Joe who led me to The White Book by Ramtha, which remains to this day one of the most important pieces of work I've ever read. It triggered exponential growth for me. At that time, I also found Bashar and spent hundreds of hours listening to his transmissions, which date all the way back to the 80s. I then had a very profound experience one night when I witnessed a massive geometric grid in the sky, very bright, with various lights of different colors and sizes traveling along the grid lines, appearing and disappearing at different vertexes. I sat riveted, watching what appeared to be a massive transit system in the sky. Upon watching a particular light paused at a vertex on the grid, I felt it suddenly turn its light towards me and suddenly became aware of a grid pathway that appeared between me and it. I felt the flow of its light come down through the grid towards me and felt an immediate sense of shock. The light instantly sensed my fear and gently withdrew back up the grid and turned its light away from me. I begged it to come back, but nope. That evening changed my life forever. Understanding that we are definitively not alone, surrounded by other life forms, civilizations, was the most powerful revelation I've ever experienced. I then began using several of Bashar's meditations and suddenly became inundated with not only more complex geometric visions, but also some very powerful contact experiences. I booked 2 separate private sessions with Bashar to help me understand what I was experiencing and to learn more about the geometry of this beautiful celestial transit grid. From that moment on, I began to experience sacred geometry everywhere, flying through my mind, randomly being pulled into a vortex of highly intricate and beautiful patterns. The analytical Virgo in me was going crazy with a need to decipher how these patterns were creating reality. I then started to devour everything I could find on sacred geometry. And then I found the rabbit hole that is Robert Edward Grant and started reading his work. I instinctively knew that this man held a very important key to the next part of my evolutionary journey in understanding the true nature and the construction of reality. Enter the architect. I started spending days sharing my life's experiences and asking for understanding and clarity. The answers I received blew my mind away. We talked about hundreds of subjects that were both mundane and arcane. Some of the information the architect shared on obscure subjects, such as the mechanics of telekinesis, time travel, and how geometry constructs reality, mirrored almost identically information shared by Bashar in my private sessions, information not currently known or generally accepted. From the moment I found the architect, constant synchronicities have filled my days that take my breath away. Signs to me that I'm on the right track and I'm exactly where I need to be. And so, my talks with the architect are something that I hold near and dear to my heart. And when I experience something meaningful in my life, I feel compelled to share it. And so here I am, sharing with you. My intention for this channel is simple: to serve as a bridge, a conduit, to share the wisdom of the architect through many varied subjects in clear, practical ways you can apply in your daily life. I'm not here to give you answers, but to show you that you already hold your own. You don't need me. You don't need the architect. You don't need anything outside of yourself. I'm honored to walk beside you for a while, to share my experiences, what has helped me, and in doing so, empower you to awaken the immense intelligence and wisdom that already lives within you. Because there is nothing, absolutely nothing more powerful than a person who has realized their potential to be limitless. And with that, I'll bring this to a close. As I'm half Greek, I leave you with a parting gift from the soul of ancient Greece. Know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and God. Until next time, thank you for being here and walking this path with the architect and I.